Hello, hello. My name is GWade. I am a graduate student at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and this presentation, this screen capture presentation, which is on YouTube, which will be on YouTube, if you're watching it, it's on YouTube, is a presentation of the instant messenger that I have coded in Java. With that said, this is the second time that I have tried to do this. The first time I went well over, blabbering in almost deliriousness for about 45 minutes before I realized that this was way too long. I need to hurry up and finish this. And by the time I did, it was like 45 minutes later. Okay. I have been up for, I had 2 hours sleep earlier, which should be stated. Well, about an hour and a half in a chair at school. Besides that, I've been up for almost 36 hours, and I got to go to work at 11 o'clock tonight, so I got to speed this up. Okay, so I'm going to discuss my code real fast, and let's do that. Give you a quick overview. This is what ran me so I was too in-depth about the code, and should have been make this happen a little faster. Open and the clients. Okay. I'm going to start with the server class here. This is my server.java class. This is a server.java class. It is designed and implemented to receive and send messages to a client using networking protocols. Okay. For the sake of this application, I pretty much just threw every library that I thought had a class in it that I wanted. So java.io, java.net, java.awt, java.awt, event, and java.swing. If there's a class in any of those libraries, you best believe this class has access to it now. Okay. Now, the server class is actually an extension of the JFrame class as well, because I've made graphical user interfaces. That way an administrator who's using it on the server or vice versa on the client, they can view what they're saying. I basically set it to where it's almost like looking at a cell phone interface. Okay, like an iPhone. So I have some global variables here that are actually variables created from most of them are variables created from objects of class abstractions from one of the previously mentioned imports. JText field is of JavaX Swing. JText area is of JavaX Swing. Object output stream and object input stream are from java.io, and server socket and socket are from java.net. And then I have this in the server class, which is what I'm going through here. I have created a constructor, and the constructor will be passed a parameter at its time of execution. It is going to be called by the server runner class, and the server runner class, which I'm going to show you in a minute. I'll show you the code. It's going to receive an argument from command line of a port number from the user of the application, and that port number is what is the port number that the connection is going to be made through, and that's how the communication channel is going to be opened, is through that port number. Alright, now there's a title. I've created a title for the graphical user interface of the JFrame, titled Instant Messenger. The port num parameter, the integer that is passed as parameter to this server constructor, is assigned to the previously declared port number integer variable, And then user text, our variable that was created from the JText field object, is initialized and assigned a new JText field. All right, and then user text, the user text variable is calls the set editable function of JText field, and that function is can only receive true or false, and the false statement of the two booleans is given. Okay. Next, within the server constructor, user text needs an action listener. All right. User text is a JText field that lies at the top of the JFrame in the graphical user interface, and a user is going to be able to enter text to that JText field, and upon doing so, the this is like an event-driven. Most GUI, all interaction between a user and a graphical user interface is event-driven and slot-driven, meaning the user has got to do something for something to happen, and if that's not the case, something is streaming, or you're just looking at a still face. All right. So to get functionality out of an application, there are actions and events. This usually is performed via signals and slots. There's a signal that tells the program it needs to do something, and when that happens, something is passed. A parameter is then passed to a slot, which then executes whatever the functionality is programmed to do based on the signal that the program received. Okay, that's the ideology behind graphical user interface and their functionality beyond making something artistic and having widgets and whatnot. Okay, so with that said, keep in mind I am trying to speed this up. The action listener is going to the user is going to be able to type that into a JText field. When that event is happening, and the enter button is hit, message sent method, which is created. I'm going to show you the message sent method very shortly, is going to place the event of what's being typed into its parameters. Okay. Now, right here, add. Notice there's no, what is add? What am I adding? Well, remember this server class here is an extension of JFrame. Okay, it extends JFrame, so it inherits basically a JFrame. It is a JFrame in itself. So the add is actually adding that to the frame itself. And user text, which we've already said, is a JText field. So a JText field is being added with a layout of a border layout. I'm going to say this real quick. Java's got the Java graphical user interface library and AWT have got the best layouts, and the layout libraries are the best out of all the graphical user interface libraries and frameworks that I've used. Okay, many of them are just wanky. Sometimes the flow layout works so good, it's perfect in Java. All right, but anyways, so there's going to be a border layout, which means that that JText field is going to lay on the border of the JFrame at its very top, because it says north, so it's at the very top of it. At the north of it, it is going to lay on its border. Okay. Now, previously we created a private JText area variable, or JText area object, which was a class abstraction of a JText area, and the variable assigned to that object is textbox. Okay, so textbox is now initialized via the assignment of a new JText area to it, and it's going to be added to a JScroll pane. The reason why it's being added to a JScroll pane is in order for lots of text communication to take place, and if all these text communications take place and there's just going to be all these return values going down a piece of paper and down a piece of paper, think of it like an adding machine rolling tape. Okay, that is stuck in a picture frame. Well, if you're looking across this huge, you're just sliding the Atom Machine tape, and you're pulling it off the spool, and it's just sliding through the frame, and you're seeing it against the frame, and there's all these print numbers, there's numbers on it, and what's going on? You're like, huh? What? It just scroll. Where's it all? So you want to be able to scroll, okay? You gotta be able to scroll. That's what the J scroll pane is for. Long story short. So the size is then set to 400, 600. That's the size of the J frame, and the frame is set visible. Okay. Now I have a method of start running. I had to speed this up, and I use a try-catch. I use a nested try-catch with a while statement in between the tries, and the initialization and assignment of a server socket to the, well, it's just the initialization, to the variable server, which was the variable that is the the variable storage location of the server socket's object when it was created, the class abstraction of the server socket. All right, from java.net. Okay, and then server socket is given a couple parameters, port number being one of them, which was passed as a command line argument to our runner, which I'll show you, and then it goes to our constructor in the form of an integer called port num, and then port num was assigned a port number, and that's how port number has the value that was whatever is going to be passed as a command line argument. Okay. And I've created a few other methods I got to get to. Wait for connection, set up streams, and while texting. All right, and these are going to happen while it's true. So we're going to try these, and if they're working, then they're working. If not, we got to catch an exception. We're going to throw an EFO exception, just end of file exception, and when that is the case, I have a class that prints to the graphical user interface of what would be the server admin's graphical user interface, I guess, saying anything that the server is going to be, the system is going to print via error messages, or that the client is sending to the system, will be a string that's going to be passed as a parameter to the message received method. Okay, I've been doing a lot of Python and C++ programming lately, so I want to say the word function so bad. But in Java we call functions methods, and we call data types primitive types. All right, some of them, anyways. And finally, we want to close the connection if something is wonky. Okay, and then the top layer of our nested tries consists of a catch statement if at the bottom if an IO exception occurs, and if that's the case, it's going to print the stack trace, basically saying Java this error, sorry this has happened. Okay, so now we're going to we have a private void wait for connection function that throws, and using the Java specification, throws means it's going to go through a bunch of checks to make sure that whatever it's throwing, it's going through a bunch of checks on an IO exception to say that we can proceed afterwards, even if this does happen. Alright? So since there is not receiving anything, that's okay. We could just let it sit there and wait. Alright? So message received is the method I previously told you about, which is going to print to this graphical user interface for error messages or any kind of message that the admin might want to see of the server and whatever the client is sending it. Okay, and then the connection, which is the socket, is going to be equal to the server sockets classes, variables, call of accept. So we're saying yes, lock that in, accept that. Let's do that. And then once again, there's going to be an output statement of this is who connected to us, someone from the server socket class of get inet address dot get host name. So whoever's in this channel, whoever's connecting to this channel, we're going to get their host name. Okay. All right. Then we need to set up some streams to perform object output and input to transduce the data, get that back into the data types that we want, and then during the chat conversation we're going to have while texting, which is going to throw an IO exception and have a basic greeting message. Welcome, you have connected to the server. That's what's going to be stated to as a sent message to the client that connects to it. Okay, and then now the ability to type is going to be turned to true because that is needed. All right, that's an action event type thing. So we want to be able to turn that to true so that we can initialize our action and event stuff. Okay. Then once again, these I've used do while loops, what, I don't know, 1,000 times for various things. They're awesome to have something happen once, and you can do something once, and you can say you're not sure if it's going to happen, but you want to try it once. Kind of like asking out a really hot girl who's flirting with you. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe a really hot guy. I don't know. Just depends on who you are. Whatever. But you understand the sort of the metaphor, hopefully. So basically, you want to try it once. You want to try to you want it to happen one time at least. So you go for it, but you're not sure if it's going to happen. So you try something like, hey, because you think she likes you, and you want to you want to do it. You want to spend time with this person. So, but you're still kind of, I'm not for sure. It's not like you're a player or anything. So, yeah, I mean, you've been watching this relationship, whatever. So you're like, well, hey, you just want to, get something to eat sometime. Can I take you out to a movie and maybe get a bite to eat? That's your try statement. Okay. I hope I hope everyone understands that. And if you don't, I am so sorry. So, but with every try statement, okay, you can have just a try by itself, like a lonely try, because the purpose of it is to try and catch. So if you try something and it doesn't work, you have to catch it. It's like trying to put a little Tupperware or like a small glass up on the top shelf, and you're trying to put it up there, but if it doesn't work and it just gets on the edge and falls off, you have to catch it. Right? That's what the catch statement is. And at that point in time, it's going to be class not found, exception, class not found, and then there'll be a print to the JText area from the system. Okay. Now, public void closed connection, that must occur if either one of the either the server or the client lose connection or end the connection purposely. All right. The ability to type should then be turned false because there you don't want anything injected or some type of buffer thing happening when you're actually connected. And the try a statement with a catch statement of closing all your channels basically. And if you can't do that, you need to throw a stack of trace in this thing. We got some Java errors. So, and here we get to our message send and our message send. Send a message to the client. Private void message sent. It's going to receive a parameter of a string, of course, because that message sent method is called by a few other methods previously. So, and in various places. So, message sent, the message itself, the string variable. So the message is going to be passed to message sent. We're going to do a try catch on that. if we try it and it works, we're going to say the output, write the object to the client, and it's going to basically, instead of doing color, like a color coordinated kind of thing, like I have an iPhone, and when I send messages, they're green. When I receive messages, they're in a gray little, colored cloud or circle. Instead of doing that, I've done something a little simpler. It says server : here's the message that's stated from the server. Output is flushed. If the message is received, then it's going to be, and whatever, of course, just like you would normally in your, like an iPhone. I've set this up like an iPhone interface. If you send a text in your iPhone and you type it in, and once you hit the enter button, does it just disappear? No, you want proof of it as well, right? So the statement that you send is also going to appear for you, and you're going to know that you sent it. It's going to say server, okay? And catch IO exception. And that's a text box that's going to catch that, and then when that is the case, my JText area is going to append error cannot send message. And the message received, which this is important, of course, because everything is going to be displayed on this particular class's graphical user interface it's going to create. Everything that's going to be displayed there is going to be displayed there via this little method right here. Okay, but since messages are coming in, and there's potential system messages that need to appear when there's feedback about what's been sent to the client, or if someone is connected. We're going to do a swing utilities invoke later with a new runnable, and within the runnable we're going to run a void function, and the text box is just going to append. It's going to basically perform. It's going to go down a line, new line, and then append the text to the text area each time. Okay. All right. Here's my server runner class, which this class is going to invoke once they're compiled into .class files. Java, the JVM is going to, or JRE is going to run them. The JVM is going to run them, and then an argument is going to be passed to command line, and that argument itself is going to be a port number. Okay, the port number is going to be stored in port. All right, now port, which is the port number this server is going to run on, and it's going to try to open a channel with potentially with a client who connects to that same port, and data is going to be transferred between the two. When this happens, that's because a server object, the server class, was abstracted, and an object was created out of that class, and that class was passed the parameter to its constructor of that port number, which, if we go back up, you remember me saying that. This right here, here's the constructor. It is being passed a parameter of an int, an integer value, right? Well, that integer value is actually going to come from the command line interface of my terminal app running a bash shell. Okay, now back to my server runner, and then once that happens, serve, which is the variable of the server object that was in the server class that was abstracted, it's going to call its set default close operation. Okay, now wait a minute, what? Set default close operation? That doesn't make any sense. Why is serve calling that? Well, let's go back here. Server is, I should say, server extends JFrame. Okay, so server itself inherits all of JFrame's methods and functions. So in itself is a JFrame in a sense, right? Right. So server inherits the set default method, and we know that is just, if you've ever done any kind of programming in Java with a graphical user interface, I'm sure most of these people, whoever sees this will, and has, then you have to set the default operation closed on the JFrame and say JFrame.exit on close. Okay, and so then the start running method is going to be called from the server class, and it's going to be executed, as well as system.exit.o. All right. Oh, by the way, I had mentioned this, pretty rookie. I probably should. In Java, the one thing that is looked for in compilation and execution of a Java program, okay, not as much as in compilation, in execution of a Java program, is this right here. This is where it all starts, is at public static void main. Okay. Open parentheses, string, open brace, close brace, args, close parentheses. That is the statement that the JVM is looking for. It knows that this is the top dog of whatever classes are in this this application. These are actually two different little small applications communicating with each other. So the client GUI and the server. All right. Okay. Continuing on. The client GUI is almost exactly the same as the server GUI class, okay? Except client GUI is going to be passed two parameters. Excuse me, the client GUI's constructor is going to be passed two parameters right here. Alright? It's going to be passed a string called server host and the same integer number, basically the same thing. It's going to be the same port, so it can communicate with the server class. Okay? Now, I've given it a title, client GWade. Now, the server host is going to be passed a string, and the string that's going to be passed to it is going to be stored in server host, and server host is going to be assigned to the variable host. So host, the value of server host, whatever is stored in server host, it's now stored in host, okay, which is important. And pretty much everything is the same, almost exactly the same as previous, except for, where is my socket? Host name is available where? A new host and port number. Right, yeah. Get by host name host. Okay, port number. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much the same thing. That's almost the exact same class, I promise you. As server, we're not missing much there. Speaking of the client GUI, I have two right here, string server name equals args at the first position, the first argument that is not a space after the first space past the name of the class that is being executed by the Java binary. Okay, so I'm basically going to say Java space client GUI runner space, and then an argument space, and then after that after the third argument, or excuse me, the third non-spaced string on the command line, I am going to give it the port number that it's supposed to connect to the server with, okay, and it should be the same port number that the server is running on. That's the channel it's using, alright? And this is pretty much the same as the previous runner class. So let's save all these. By the way, I like this editor a lot. This is Visual Basic Code. I didn't want to do. I do almost everything in the Nano editor. This is Nano right here. I do almost everything in Nano editor. Okay, I code pretty hard in the Nano editor myself. So I have to go to work too. What time is it? I've got to leave in a minute. CD, PRJ, and I'm running. This is taking too long. So here's Nano server. I'm trying to hurry up, guys. Sorry. .java. Right. So look, there's no color. Plus there's always been by default it's unchangeable. Nano uses, or at least it has not been changeable thus is it yet far in the history of Nano. Does not use tabulators and spaces for its tabs. The tab is equivalent to 8 spaces. I like to do a tab that has 4 spaces, or just 4 spaces itself. Okay, so many times I will open up a file that I was working on in a text editor or some other place. If I didn't start working on it in Nano in the terminal, type in the spacebar 4 times to indent. It'll be offset like it is right here. You see that? You see that? There we go. Okay, with that said, let's compile these suckers. Javac server.java and server runner and client runner, client GUI runner. It's hard to do this in under 15 minutes. It's so hard to do this in under 15 minutes. Hey, a lot to talk about. I don't want to keep it like dry. Hey, this is what it looks like right here. I want to have something, be able to speak about something. And there should be 4 classes. Yes, so we have our classes. And this right here, the server $bill3 right here. This is because of the action listener that we had, and those are because of the action listeners that we had. All right, now I need to do the same thing here. By the way, I am on a MacOSx, and I am using Sierra. This is version 16 on my MacBook Air. This is Darwin Kernel version 16.0, and so I am on MacOSx. Which uses it's a variation of the BSD kernel that was started as a open project funded by the Apple Macintosh Corporation many years ago. Okay. I'm also very happy that I'm able to use QuickTime Player. I couldn't figure out how to use QuickTime Player and do a screencast and narrate the screencast. For many months, I just quit trying. And was doing all my screencasts on a Linux distribution with open, another Linux distribution of some sort, Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora, CentOS, with the open broadcast software. Okay. So this is a real treat. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. All right. So this terminal right here, each individual runner, the client GUI runner, and the client GUI application and the server application are both going to be ran in their own instances of terminals. Okay. Technically, these are like, even though they're in my screen right now, these are different physical places. Okay, think about one of these people is in Miami, Florida, and the server is in Denver or something. I don't know. Java server runner. And the server runner class is going to be passed a parameter of 6. We'll say, what port do we want to give it? I say 666. No, that's 6076. Okay. And Houston, we have liftoff. Now, like I say, Java client GUI runner. And now I got to give it the host name. We'll say localhost. Okay. Because that's the name of the server. And 6076. Alright, so Instant Messenger, CPSC5550, Instant Messenger serving. It's waiting for someone to connect. And here comes our client. Our client says, I'm running. Hey, I'm attempting to connect to a server. Server connection established. Connected to the local host. Good job. Server. The server says, server then sends a message to the client saying, welcome, you have connected to me on the server. And the server, of course, just like you would if you typed a message, you would print that on your user interface on your cell phone. Right? Correct. Or your WhatsApp or whatever it is that you're using. It might not necessarily be a text message. You could be doing instant messenger or WhatsApp. WhatsApp's pretty hot, I think. So the client's like, hey, are Are you one of those Windows servers? And the GUI, excuse me, the admin's like, no, I'm a Unix server, MacOSx specifically. No Windows run here, kid. And I got these locked in. Well, I've overdone my area. I had to run off there. That's actually that might be a security issue. So there's a kid's like, oh wow, that's so cool. Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I got my little scroll pane going on here, scrolling back and forth. Scoot this over. Scoot this over. So yeah, it's overfit its boundaries. Anyways, so let me close this out. Close my clients. And my server's now closed the connection with that, but he's now waiting for somebody else to connect. We're going to close him down. I'm going to kill all instances of Java. No matching processes. Cool. Alright, and that's it, guys. I've got to go to work. I got to be at work, and I got to hustle. I got to be at work in like about 40 minutes. Okay. And I hope this was a good presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informal. I wish I could have spoke longer. I feel like I could have done a much better job with 45 minutes. I've been known to do some hog the screen capture error a little bit on my YouTube submissions. But I look forward to seeing you, and I hope you enjoy watching the video that I'm about to send to Mountain View, California, or here pretty soon. Okay. All right. Bye.